Hello and welcome to LA Currents. I'm Anita Bennett. Well, it's been a year since Lindsey Horvath was elected to the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors. Horvath represents the 3rd District. That area spans from the Ventura County line to West Hollywood and includes the San Fernando Valley and Santa Monica. It's a big area with 2 million people and many different needs. Here to discuss the 3rd District and pressing issues for residents is Supervisor Lindsey Horvath.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
So let's get started. A lot of issues in this district. What are your priorities?
We have to focus, obviously, on the homelessness crisis. It's why my very first motion was authoring our declaration of emergency in partnership with Mayor Bass and cities throughout the county who really need the help and support and who just can't wait for the bureaucratic red tape to deliver results. We made that declaration and have several pillars as part of that declaration that we are advancing to ensure that our residents are getting the support that they need, to ensure that there's accountability in the dollars that are being spent, because we know people want to make sure we're using those dollars wisely, and to make sure that we're not only addressing what we're seeing in the homelessness crisis, but also preventing it from getting worse and helping to keep people in the housing they're already in. So there's a lot to do on the homelessness crisis, but of course in our district we are also focused on emergency preparedness, protecting our environment, making sure that our businesses are surviving through this very challenging time. We know with the entertainment strikes that a lot of the small businesses, actually a majority of the small businesses that are impacted are in our district. A lot of those supportive businesses to the industry, the dry cleaners, the florists, you name it, the ones that people might not have thought about but are just struggling to hold on. And so there's a lot of work that we're doing in the county that we've been hard at work over this past year, and more to go.
Definitely. We're going to come back to the strike, but I want to touch a little bit more on homelessness because it seems like progress is so slow. So what are the barriers to addressing this issue?
So unfortunately, the services that that exist to address the crisis are not aligned, or they haven't been. And so the mayor and I, the city and the county respectively, are working very closely to make sure that the distance that's been between the city and county for far too long is closed, and that we are working shoulder to shoulder, arm in arm, making sure that we are delivering the results that people expect. We also both appointed ourselves now to the LACA Commission. I took that leap at the beginning of the year, and she joined me along with my colleague, Supervisor Barger. And I think all of us being at that commission is now focusing attention in a different way and making sure that we are holding LACA accountable for the expectations that people have as well. And so there's a lot that's been changing over this past year, making sure that we are aligning all of the various departments on the county side, the city side, LACA, all of those services to make sure we're working together, not at cross purposes. We heard far too many stories like that of, beds staying open because one department is willing to pay more for them than another department. Things like that are just unfathomable when you're thinking about the emergency that we're facing. So we're working hard to make sure that all of that sort of bureaucracy that has contributed to those problems, that has gotten in our own way, that we're eliminating all of that and that we are delivering the results that people expect.
And what do you hear from the businesses? Because I know it is the city of Los Angeles, but along Ventura Boulevard there were some serious issues with the homelessness crisis. So what are you hearing?
There are challenges throughout my district, throughout the county, and businesses are no exception. We've certainly heard from businesses that have been impacted, people sleeping on their doorsteps or near their businesses, sometimes causing issues that they feel detract from people being able to patronize their business. So we're working with our street outreach teams and on the mayor's side with the Inside Safe program, on the county side, Pathway Home, making sure that we are working to resolve homelessness encampments, that we're getting people off the streets, that we're getting them into the housing and services that they need to stay off the streets long term and get the support that they need and is long overdue. And that's how we're able to help our businesses.
That makes a lot of sense. You mentioned the strikes. First we had the WGA and then SAG-AFTRA. Thankfully, everything's resolved. But a lot of businesses, not just actors and writers, but like you said, dry cleaners, prop houses.
Yes.
How can we help these people come back?
There are some businesses that have gone out of business and it is absolutely devastating, but there are some that are still hanging on by a thread, which is why I authored a motion to create a business interruption fund for our entertainment industry, much like the one that we created at Metro for businesses that get impacted by the construction of our infrastructure projects. We took that model to bring it to the county to say, how can we help our businesses survive this temporary interruption, but make sure that they can stay alive through this period of time, so that way their businesses can support our industry going forward. Sometimes these businesses aren't thought about when we're thinking about our overall entertainment industry, but without them, our productions don't survive. And so we have to make sure that we're investing in them. And so we are investing on the county side millions of dollars into this interruption fund that is launched through our Department of Economic Opportunity. And so you can reach out to them to get more information. If one of your businesses is impacted, please reach out to Kelly Lobianco at our Department of Economic Opportunity, and they'll be happy to help.
That is good to know. People can reach out for help.
Yes. And the county's providing funding to make sure that they stay in business.
Excellent. You were the mayor of West Hollywood and
Yes.
also a council member.
I was.
And I just read that they're trying to build this big entertainment complex in West Hollywood for Hollywood productions. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, it's no secret that the entertainment industry needs more infrastructure here in Los Angeles to keep productions at home. So I'm not surprised to hear that a city like West Hollywood, that has been part of why this whole region is the entertainment capital, is looking at how they can support the industry staying here as well. I don't know the details on the project, so I'll be excited to hear more about them. But I'm glad to see that all of our communities are thinking about how can we build the infrastructure that the industry needs to keep that production here at home.
Yeah, because there has been a lot of runaway production with, productions going to Georgia
Yes.
and Louisiana for the tax incentives and everything else.
Prior to my service as a supervisor, I was a small business owner. I worked in the creative advertising industry for entertainment, actually. And so I had my own business. I worked in this space. And we were one of those businesses where when entertainment wasn't up and running, whether we had advertising dollars to spend on designing movie posters, billboards, trailers, and TV spots, that was all of the work that I did before I came into my work as a supervisor. So all of this hits very close to home for me, and I want to make sure that we're protecting our industry, that we're working in partnership, that we support our small businesses whose lifeblood is this industry, and that we make sure that we are not sending folks away from Los Angeles, away from their homes, to go do the work that was born right here in LA.
That is good news. Let's talk a little bit about transportation. You're on the Metro board.
Yes.
How do we get more people on public transport?
We have to make it safer. And we have to help people see the value in taking Metro, that they can get to the places that they need. And that's why we're building out our regional infrastructure. Measure M is doing a lot to help us do that. But we also have to make sure that we're telling the success stories of how we're improving the Metro experience. Recently, Metro launched a security ambassador program that was started as a pilot program, is now going to be a program that eventually will be brought in-house to Metro and will stay longer term, because we've seen it's helped to not only increase safety, but increase accessibility for people who've never taken the Metro before. They now have people they can go to and ask them where they need to go, how they navigate the system. There's somebody there who understands the neighborhood as well, so they're welcoming them into the system. All of that is so critically important, especially if you've never used Metro here before. So we need our law enforcement officials, we need the transit security officers, but the ambassadors play a very critical role as well. And so I'm glad that they're part of our layered approach to having personnel throughout the system that help to keep people safe. We have to make sure that that personnel is not only on our trains, but also on our buses. We've heard certainly from our bus drivers and bus patrons that having additional personnel on the bus itself can help make people feel safer. And so we have to expand the presence of people on the buses as well. It used to be that the policy was that law enforcement officials would drive in their cars nearby where the buses were.
I remember that.
And so that's not going to work. That's not going to help keep people safe on a bus. So we're now getting more personnel onto the buses. We're making sure that those buses are going to the places they need to go. We're increasing frequency as well. I know in the Valley I've been laser focused on making sure that the frequency of our buses in the Valley stays high. I've been riding Metro myself to make sure that the issues that people have been raising I can see for myself and make sure that we're deploying the interventions that are needed throughout the system. So there's a lot of good progress that's happening, and I think that's how we're going to get people back into the system and also help to expand it.
These ambassadors, are they paid or volunteers?
They are paid. They are hired from within the community, so they are people who know the neighborhoods, who know what it's like to hang out, who know how to get around, and who are armed with information to help people really understand how to navigate the system and to get around safely on Metro.
I want to know, are they uniformed? Because the last time I took Metro Rail, there were some unhoused people on the train, and as a woman, I didn't exactly feel safe. So are these people, they're there to deter problems. Are they in uniforms?
Yes, they wear bright green shirts, so you can't miss them. They even made, when we launched the Metro Ambassador program, they made this cute little video with showing off their dance moves in their green shirts. But we're really happy to see them because you can see them throughout the system. And so I think that's really important. As I said, we also do have transit security officers who are also in uniform, and of course law enforcement officials who are in the system are also in uniform. So there are people that you will see throughout the system that we need to increase in order to make sure that we're meeting those needs. We also have representatives from homelessness service agencies like PATH who are deployed throughout the system to help address some of those concerns that you had mentioned. We have to make sure that people who are specialized in response to the kinds of things that we're seeing on the system are who are actually deployed, because if we don't, sometimes these issues can escalate unnecessarily. So we want to make sure that we have the right folks responding to the needs that are on the system.
Mm-hmm. With the crippling accident on the 10 freeway, or the fire and everything, did that draw more people to Metro?
We are pushing that we want more people to come to Metro, and we are seeing now with traffic patterns that look a lot like COVID because people are staying home, maybe working from home, but hopefully using Metro for all the places that they need to go. And so Metro is really encouraging people to know before you go, check out Metro and see what options are available for you to safely get to work and avoid that whole issue on the 10.
Mm-hmm. Good news. Let's talk about the Sheriff's Department.
Okay.
They frequently make headlines for the wrong reasons.
Yes.
The county oversees the Sheriff's Department. Are reforms taking place? Can you just tell us a little bit about what's happening?
So there are changes that have come to the department, not the least of which is having a new sheriff, and I'm glad to have Sheriff Luna as a new partner in addressing these issues, but unfortunately we still see that there are concerns in the department as well, whether it's been the deaths in our jails, whether it's been reported uses of force. We have a lot of work to do, and unfortunately some of these changes are systemic and wouldn't be changed overnight just by replacing the sheriff. We have to entirely change the culture and root out what is causing all of these issues, whether it's the deputy gangs, whether it's conflicts that exist around stations and in communities. We have to make sure that law enforcement officials are embraced in a community and partner with a community, as opposed to some of the conflicts that we've seen over the past year and even before then. So there's a lot of work that the county is doing to make sure that we are delivering new results for the department, new results with our facilities, and I'm excited to see that change. That's part of the reason I wanted to be a supervisor.
I love that. And we should also mention some of the deputies they've struggled. Are we getting them mental health treatment? Is that available?
That is certainly a concern. I just spoke recently with the sheriff about the recent suicides that happened in the department, and it's something that I've been talking with him over the past year about how we bring more resources into the department. Not just training, that complicates people's hours and doesn't really deliver what people need, but really investing in the personnel who are doing this work, because if they're struggling, they're not going to show up in the right ways when they're responding to a call, and the issues then compound. So we have to make sure that we're investing in the people we're asking to keep our communities safe. And I know that, for example, the LA County Fire Department stood up a program of mental health supports for their folks after tragedy struck in the county fire department. So they have a model that they've now been sharing throughout the state, and it's one that I'm looking to partner with them as well as the Sheriff's Department to see what lessons learned we can bring into the department to support the people who are entrusted to keep the community safe.
Has the sheriff given any feedback to the board about these issues?
So he's reached out immediately, obviously in the wake of the issues that that we've seen in the wake of the suicides that recently happened, to let us know that he's going to be making changes in the department to address overtime hours and other issues that he believes may be contributing to what people are seeing. But we also know that we have to encourage people to step up and get the resources that they need and destigmatize accessing those resources. It's not limited to law enforcement. So many people resist seeking mental health help and support because of the stigma that exists. And so what we want to do is make sure that we are expanding availability and accessibility to mental health support services for our law enforcement officials and for all community members. We've seen the great need on our streets, and in fact, our Department of Mental Health is the department that has used our declaration of emergency on homelessness the most to hire up into their department to make sure that we have more personnel and more staff to deploy out into the community. So hard at work making sure that we're removing barriers to accessing the services that are desperately needed in our communities.
Something else with the stigma attached is domestic violence. And when you were in the West Hollywood government, you were an advocate for getting people help. Are you going to continue that with the county?
Absolutely. Before my work as an elected official, before I was even working in the entertainment industry, I was an advocate and supporter of organizations that are working to end domestic violence and gender-based violence. And so in the county, we know that there are services that exist, but again, because of how they get siloed in the various county departments, they often aren't accessed in the ways that people need them, and they can be incredibly difficult for people to figure out how to even get help in the first place. So that will be something, as I become chair next month, that will be something that I'm working on, is how do we align these services, center the people who need the help, and bring those services to them rather than asking them to go to all of these different places to get the help that they need. We have to centralize them, and actually in West Hollywood, I created a community response team to domestic violence where we brought everyone together to talk about how we can have these resources work together, how we can make sure that the experience that law enforcement is compared with our hospitals when people show up with injuries. Maybe they report at a hospital but not to law enforcement. Maybe they go seek a different kind of social service. So when we compare both statistics and also what sort of experiences people have had, bringing all of those services together and centering the experience of a survivor so we can make sure that the supports that we offer are actually meeting them where they are and delivering the help that they need. That's what we need to do, and I want to bring that model to the county. Excellent.
The Board of Public Health, or the Department of Public Health,
was
in the crossfires quite a bit during the pandemic. What's happening there?
So there's a lot that's going on in the Department of Public Health. Certainly COVID has not left us. While our experience of it may have changed, it's something that we're still watching. And so we're making sure that the updated vaccines are accessible to the community. But we're also working on other issues that are plaguing our communities, like the STI crisis that we're seeing, making sure that we are investing more resources into combating the spread of STIs throughout our community. We're also working with the Department of Public Health on environmental issues. They're working with us on things like Exide and other public health emergencies.
Exide plant. And the whole cleanup surrounding that.
Absolutely.
That was something else.
Absolutely. And so sometimes these environmental hazards become public health hazards. Just recently I authored a motion to work with the Department of Public Health to look at removing leaded fuels from the aircraft at Whiteman Airport, which have been impacting community members in the Pacoima area and in the surrounding area. So we want to make sure that we're using our Department of Public Health to keep our public safe, to monitor some of these issues that are contributing to public health issues, and to make sure that we are keeping people healthy in their own communities.
I just have one quick question about the Exide plan, because there was a lot of talk of environmental racism with brown and black families affected. What are your thoughts on that?
So we have to make sure that when we are tackling environmental issues that we are looking through an equity and a justice lens. And so often we see black and brown communities impacted by environmental issues disproportionately. The Exide plant is no exception. And so we have to make sure that our Department of Public Health is working with our sustainability office in the county, that we are using our RD department, which is our anti-racism, diversity and inclusion department, to make sure that we're marrying all of these issues and making sure that we are looking at them intersectionally, so that way we are serving people in their communities in the way that they need to be served, and not overlooking or pushing to the margins the issues that people just don't want to deal with because it's not a community they are familiar with or that they want to deal with. You
said you're going to be the chair of the board?
Yes.
How that happened fast?
Tell me about it. I know. I'm excited. In fact, I guess the rotation was supposed to be that I would have come in as chair. So I am incredibly grateful to Supervisor Hahn, who has chaired our board this year, who stepped out of rotation, took that leadership role, and has been phenomenal this entire year, and a great example for me coming into the role. So now here I am. I will be the youngest chair ever in the history of the board.
Amazing.
And I think that it's an opportunity for us to bring more and different voices into the work of the county. So many people I encountered when I was running for this office had no idea what the county did or why they should care about their county supervisor. And if they did, sometimes they had really negative experiences with the county. They were impacted by the county through the sheriff's department, through something that was not a positive experience. And so what we want to do is make sure that people have a positive experience. Where Supervisor Mitchell authored a motion that I co-authored with her to shift the culture to prevention. So instead of waiting for people to fall and hoping that the county catches them, we help prevent them from falling in the first place. And making sure that we are looking at the diversity of Los Angeles County, and that it should be reflected in how we make our decisions. So as somebody who is bringing a bit of a different perspective, as a renter, as the first millennial, somebody who sees our county just a little bit differently, it's an opportunity for us to bring in all different kinds of voices into the work.
Any other changes you'd like to make?
We're looking at how we can fully fund the county's sustainability plan called Our County. It's award-winning, but it's not going to do anything for us if we don't fund it. So that's something that's high on my priority list, making sure that we are fully funding that plan. It has outlined short, medium, and long-term goals and interventions to help us have a more sustainable future here in Los Angeles County. I've been proud to serve on the Clean Power Alliance, which the county created just a little more than 5 years ago. It is now the largest community choice aggregate in the entire country, delivering clean energy for both Los Angeles and Ventura counties. I'm now the vice chair of that board. And so we have to make sure that while we are tending to what we see on our streets, the immediate crises of homelessness and mental health and the issues that we're seeing with substance use, for example, we also have to think longer term about what future we're giving to future generations. And so we have to think about our environment and the ways that we can intervene to protect it.
It's almost like there was no time for a learning curve when you joined the board. How did working in West Hollywood prepare you for this larger position?
Well, in West Hollywood, there were 5 council members with the city manager. Now we're a board of 5 with the CEO. by no means are they exactly the same, but that model is something that I'm more familiar with than, say, my colleagues who came from the state legislature or Congress, who worked with a lot more people in a very different fashion. A lot of the issues that I worked on are local issues, and I think people appreciated that I was going to bring that local perspective to the county. The county is the social safety net for our region, and there are so many issues for which the county is responsible for implementing solutions. And so coming from a local government perspective and how you actually implement programs, it's great to have good ideas, but it's better if they actually reach the people who they're intended to reach. And I think that local government experience, being on the ground with people, has made a difference in my ability to serve as a county supervisor.
Mm-hmm. You've prioritized LGBTQ rights.
Yes.
Is that something you want to continue?
Absolutely. I think we've seen, unfortunately, a wave of hate against our LGBTQ plus community, against our Jewish communities. There's so much hate that's out there right now. There's so much hate and divisiveness. And the county has launched LA versus Hate as a collaborative approach to bringing people together, to tackling difficult conversations and creating space for people to have civil discourse on some of those really challenging issues. But what we have to do is make sure that we're bringing community together in the process. And my experience working in West Hollywood, partnering with a community that has a growing LGBTQ plus population, I have a lot of lessons learned there. I've worked hard to earn the title of ally, and want to make sure that I continue to bring that work to the county to serve all of us and make sure that all of our communities are safe for everyone.
Mm-hmm. What made you want to get into public service?
Wow. Well, it wasn't something that I set out to do. A lot of people ask me, if I ran for government when I was in school and all that sort of thing. Honestly, I didn't know that I was going to be an elected official. I very much enjoyed being an advocate and a community organizer, working on issues that I was passionate about and being able to be a voice for others. So I'm just as comfortable going back to the street corner with a bullhorn as I am sitting at the desk that I'm at now. But I think it's important to have people in those seats who are willing to work with the public and really listen. And that's what I seek to do as a supervisor, really bring the experience of people who need that help from the county and bring it into how we solve problems. I'm not somebody who comes in saying I have all of the answers. In fact, I go out into the community to look for the answers in partnership with community. And so I want to see more people doing that, and so I want to model that, and I will continue to do that so long as the people want me to be in this seat.
Mm-hmm. With the board being all women, did anyone take you under their wing?
I have to say it's been a unique experience coming into a board of all 5 women, and I've had a good working relationship with each and every one of them. I've been able to author motions with each of my colleagues. There are different issues that we've all identified that we can work on together. A lot of them supported me coming into this role in the first place, and so I had existing relationships with each of them. And so I'm really grateful for that, because it's made that transition a little bit easier for me, I will say. Each of them has also sort of given me their key insights of what it was like when they first came in, how to navigate the different departments and make sure that we are getting the results that we're hoping for in our office. So I'm grateful to have partners. And then we also disagree. You find where you're not going to see eye to eye and figure out how you work through that. And so every Tuesday is a new experience at our board meetings. But I'm really grateful to have the partners that I do on the board, and I'm excited to see what changes we'll continue to deliver as this board.
We'll definitely be watching.
Yes.
So if people want to get in contact with your office, how do they reach you?
You can go to our website, which is lindseyhorvath.LACounty.gov. You can also email us at 3rd District at BOS, like Board of Supervisors, .LACounty.gov. That's GOV. So those are probably the best ways to reach, but you can call us. You can find us on social media, Lindsey P. Horvath. We want to make sure that we're in contact with people as best as we can be. We do send out a newsletter, so if you go to our website, you'll be able to sign up for that as well to hear about the work that we're doing on the board and what's happening in the district. So there's a lot of good stuff happening, and we're excited to engage with every part of the district.
Well, this has definitely been a lively conversation. I learned a lot.
Oh, I'm glad. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
And that is going to do it for this edition of LA Currents. I'm Anita Bennett. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.